Time for the US election tracker meanwhile. The United States goes to the polls in just 47 days from now. The question is, who will America elect as its next president? Donald Trump or Joe Biden? Let's look at the headlines to gauge the mood. And this should be interesting, especially for those of you who are watching us in India. The media here is talking about drugs. The press in America too is talking about drugs. The only difference is that this is not about film stars. In the US, the focus is on a presidential nominee. His name is Joe Biden. The charge has been made by none other than Donald Trump. He thinks that Joe Biden is quote unquote taking something. And why does Trump think so? Because the president is surprised by Biden's improved stage performance. Trump says during the Democratic primaries, Biden's stage performance was a quote-unquote disaster. And now Trump says Biden is taking something that gives him clarity. It does not end here. Trump wants Biden to undergo a drug test before their presidential debates, which, by the way, begin on the 29th of September. What does Joe Biden have to say on the drug allegation? The Democratic nominee says Trump is a fool and his comments are foolish. We say no comments. Let them sort this out. We'll tell you about a wise move that Trump made. His proximity to Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, apparently it's helping him. The Atlantic Council says the Indian American donors are leaning towards President Trump. This should not come as a surprise. Trump has repeatedly gone out of his way to woo the Indian diaspora. When the Indian Prime Minister visited Houston in 2019, Trump was at the stadium opening the event for Prime Minister Modi. In February this year, Trump visited Modi's home state of Gujarat. The Democrats, on the other hand, rubbed India the wrong way with their position on the Kashmir issue. But they have an edge over the Trump camp when it comes to money. According to one report, Kamala Harris's nomination as the Democratic VP pick has prompted a quote-unquote historic outpour of contribution. The report says around $48 million came in on the first 2 days of the announcement of her candidature. This was in the month of August. In that month alone, the Democrats collected a record amount of $364.5 million. Who is donating to the Democratic camp? Women and Californians who would otherwise avoid shelling out money for Joe Biden, we are told. Earlier this week, Harris attended a fundraiser with Hillary Clinton. That event brought in $6 million from 100,000 people. What about Trump? Well, he's winning more bad press than donations. In focus now is an old trip to France, the one in 2018, the same trip where he cancelled his visit to a cemetery and apparently called the dead US Marines losers and suckers. So what was Trump doing during that extra time that he had from not visiting the cemetery? The president was reportedly admiring the art at the home of the US ambassador to France. Trump liked some pieces so much that he picked them up, loaded them onto the Air Force One, and brought them back home to the White House. Reports claim Trump picked up art worth $750,000. The works include a bust and a portrait of America's founding father, Benjamin Franklin, and figurines of Greek mythical characters. And that's not the whole story. Turns out that the figurines and the bust were not original. They were replicas. One headline read that Trump has a habit of falling for fakes. So there you have old tales and new jokes that just about sums up this American election.